Today, we are going to study about the native inhabitants in Australia. Before that, if you are remaining to subscribe my channel, please subscribe my channel and tap bell icon for getting the latest notifications. So Australia is a country which is located in southern hemisphere. It is the sixth largest country in the world. So it is the country as well as the continent. It is the smallest continent and the sixth largest country in the world. Okay. So let us learn about the original inhabitants of Australia. As in Americas, that is in North America and South America, human habitation, human living in Australia has a long history. The Aborigines, the general term given to a number of different societies, began to arrive on the continent over 40,000 years ago. So it is believed that the Aborigines, the native people, came to the continent over 40,000 years ago. Okay. Aborigines, it's a general term used to denote all the original inhabitants. Aborigines, the earliest inhabitants. They came from New Guinea, which was connected to Australia by a land bridge. Okay, so you can see a country called Papua Guinea. So it is believed that these people might have came from here through the land bridge, and at that time all the continents were together, were the part of a supercontinent, and afterwards it was broken into smaller pieces and started drifting apart. So it is believed that they crossed the land bridge over here and they came to Australia. It is believed in that way. Okay, so let us move into other details. They came from which place? They came from New Guinea. And in the natives' traditions, they did not come to Australia but had always been there. The past centuries were called the dream time, something difficult for Europeans to understand. Now, what is the natives' version? According to natives' version, they did not come to Australia. They did not come from anywhere else. They are born and brought up there only. They are been there only for many thousands and thousands of years. They are there only. They did not come from anywhere else. And according to them, the past years before the arrival of Europeans, they had a glorious time, wonderful time, and it was known as the dream time. The Europeans are not understanding that one. They had a dream time of living. In the late 18th century, there were between 350 and 750 native communities in Australia, each with its own language. In the late 18th century, after 1750, there were more than 400 native communities, between 350 and 750 native communities. And what was the specialty of it? They had their own language. Even today, if you do the survey, you can see 200 of languages in Australia among these communities. So that is about the Aborigines who came 40,000 years ago during the Ice Age. Now another group which arrived late to Australia were called the Torres Strait Islanders. It is named after Torres. Okay, Torres Strait Islanders. This is another name given to the original inhabitants. The term aborigine is not used for these, as they believe to have migrated from elsewhere, belong to a different race. So the aborigines believe that they did not come from anywhere else, they were there only. Okay, but Torres Strait Islanders, they were not there. They believe that they were not there, they came from another continent. And they belong to a different race, not to that of the aborigines. And according to 2005 data, they make up 2.5% of Australia's population. If you take total amount of Australia's population, the total number of people, 2.4% are these native inhabitants, aborigines, and Torres Strait Islanders taken together. Now, Australia is not a densely populated area. It is a sparsely populated area. That is not, it is thickly populated. Even now, if you check, most of the towns are located on the coastal area. Okay, let us again go back to the physical map of Australia. You can see over here, the middle portion is completely a desert. This portion is also a desert, and most of the countries are along the coastal region. So this is greenery, you can see greenery along the coastal region, and the people are living along the coastal region. Even now it is the situation. Most of the places are located in the coastal region of Australia. Look, you can see over here many towns are on the coastal region. Even their capital is on the coastal region, because the central region and all, it's a desert because of that. So Australia, it's a sparsely populated region, and the central region is an arid desert. Arid desert means it's a dry desert region. And the story of European settlers and the original inhabitants is similar to that of the story of North America. Okay, so they came there forcibly, they started settling down. European settlers only, they started settling down, they took away the property, land of the original inhabitants. And it is believed that Captain Cook discovered Australia, and Captain Cook described that he was very enthusiastic about the friendly nature of the natives. Captain Cook did not write about the enmity, he wrote about the friendliness, a warm welcome of the native. But unfortunately, he was killed. Captain Cook was killed by a native only, a native inhabitant only in an island, Hawaii, not in Australia, away from Australia, in Hawaii. He was killed. So he mentioned about the friendly nature of native population, but they were not that much friendly. From where we are getting the evidence? The way he was killed. But this incident was taken as an act to justify the violent nature of Europeans. That is, Europeans told that, look, we were friendly, we are very good at heart, we are kind, we were kind. But the natives only, they were cruel, they killed the Europeans, they killed Captain Cook. So they justified their further acts of violence by taking the example of the assassination of Captain Cook. They justified, we are torturing them because they are not very good people. They are not kind. They were not kind, or they were not generous. They were not cooperating with us. That is why we became violent. And even the Europeans did not foresee, or they did not predict that in the 19th and 20th century, even majority of the native people killed due to the exposure to germs. Then due to change in climate, they lost their land resources and even battle with the settlers. So many of the people died. How they died? Because of exposure to germs. Okay, they got diseases, they got killed, then they lost their land's resources because of the climatic change, and they fought a war, battle. They had to fight with the European settlers. Because of that, they got killed. Now, Europeans further started an experiment of putting the convict in the land, in the colonies or in the settled land. Like it started with the Portuguese. They started putting the convict. Convict means those who found guilty in their countries, those who were accused or those who found guilty. After punishment, they were sent to different colonies or different settling lands around the world. So this practice started in Brazil by the Portuguese. They put the started putting convicts in Brazil. But afterwards, the native people became very angry. They started replying it back, or they started retaliating. They did not agree, and the Portuguese stopped that practice. But Britishers borrowed the same concept, and they started applying it in the American colonies. Okay, until they became independent, they put the criminals or the accused in these colonies, and it continued in Australia too. So they were taken from England, they were deported from England, and when their jail term was ended, they had to live in the new land only. That is, they were deported from England to Australia or to America, and after completing the punishment, they cannot go back to their home country. They should live in the new land only, wherever they were put, with no recourse but to make a life for themselves in this land, which was very different. And they had no hesitation for driving the natives from the land, and they took the land for cultivation. So what did these people do? After all, they were all convicts. They did not have any kind of kind or mercy. What did they do? They drove away the natives. Okay, they drove away the natives from their land, and they were not hesitant. They did not feel any kind of guilty conscience and all. They drove away these people. They took the land of natives and they started cultivating in those places. And the economic development was not very much different under the European settlements like that of America. In America too, they started discovering gold. In Australia also, they started discovering gold. Then they started establishing vast sheep farms, mining stations for mining out the minerals, etc. Same type of development only as it was in America. And even in America, it was varied. Okay, they started cultivating a lot of crops. They started setting up of industries and all, but it was that much, not very much varied or not very much diverse, different in Australia. Same to same only, but less variant. Okay, only farms, sheep farms, then mining stations were established. That also for long period of time with much labor, and labor means lot of laborers were used. Then they set up vineyard for making wine, like grapes plantations and all these things were there, and wheat farming has also been done. And because of these things, Australia was growing into prosperity, like sheep farms because of mining stations, because of vineyards, yeah, because of wheat farming. Now when the states were united, and afterwards, after many years, the states were united and declared that it will become Australia, and they decided to make a capital. And so they were thinking of a name, which name can be put, and they were so uh, addicted, yeah, they were so inclined towards keeping the sheep farm, then mining, then wheat cultivation. They told that we will keep the name of land as wool, wheat, gold, one name of suggestion. So why such suggestion came? Because I told you Australia grew into prosperity, or Australia became prosperous because of vast sheep farms, mining station, then vineyard, etc. So they were so addicted to these economic activities, they decided that we will call the new land as wool, wheat, gold. And later it was named as Canberra. Canberra came from Canberra. The meaning is meeting place. Okay. So you can see here where is Canberra. So here Canberra, the capital. Usually we are hearing the name Sydney, Brisbane, etc. But Canberra is the capital of Australia. That is also on the coastal region. Most of the famous cities are on the coastal region, like Brisbane or Canberra, then Perth. So famous cities are on the coastal region, like Melbourne, you can see here, then Adelaide. Okay, these cities are on the coastal regions of Australia. Okay, so they made Canberra as the capital of Australia. Some natives were employed in farms under conditions of work so harsh that it was little different from slavery. And native people, the original inhabitants, they started working in farms, but the conditions were not so good. Okay, they were working like slave. It was like slavery only. And later on, many Chinese people started migrating to Australia. And in the beginning, they were accepted because they provided cheap labor. Cheap labor means they were ready to work at low wage rate. Like many people were going migrated to California, that we learned in the beginning of the chapter. In the beginning sections, the first sessions of the chapter, we studied about California, how Chinese people started migrating to California for gold rush, and how the Europeans used for them, exploited them for taking out gold. But afterwards, the white people, the Europeans understood that we should not depend on them. We should not depend on non-white maybe further they may control the continent. So they banned non-whites to come to the country. They banned the immigration activities. Till 1974, such was a popular fear that dark people from South Asia or Southeast Asia may migrate to Australia in large numbers, that there was a government policy to keep non-white people out. So they had a fear. Sometimes these people from South Asia or Southeast Asia, they may start controlling us. So they never allowed. They're coming in large numbers. Their population will increase and it will like a threat to them. So they discouraged such practice till 1974. And afterwards they allowed. Ban was lifted and many people started coming to Australia. So hopefully you understood this portion. If you understood this portion, please subscribe my channel and encourage me. Tap the bell icon for the latest updates. Thank you so much.